This is the InnovaBuzz Podcast, helping smart businesses be even more innovative.
Hi, I'm Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBuzz. Welcome to episode number 92 of the InnovaBuzz Podcast, designed to help smart businesses committed to innovation, to service and modern marketing become even more innovative. In this episode of our Model the Master series, our featured master is Marcus Sheridan of the Sales Line and also of River Pools and Spas. Marcus is a trainer, a speaker, a father and everything in between, as he says. Marcus turned around an ailing pools company with a simple yet astoundingly successful content marketing strategy and has since become a highly sought after and valued speaker, trainer and consultant. He's the author of the book They Ask, We Answer, the title of which comes from his core philosophy of marketing. I'm hugely excited to present this Model the Master special episode of the InnovaBuzz podcast and begin with our question today: what would Marcus Sheridan do? In 2008, Marcus Sheridan was in charge of sales at River Pools and Spas when the global financial crisis hit, and as a result of the downturn in business, the company came to within days of bankruptcy, and the business partners were faced with losing their homes, their employees losing their jobs. Marcus used the power of the internet to answer people's questions on the River Pools blog. In Marcus' words, they became the Wikipedia of fiberglass swimming pools. Marcus consistently and persistently addressed customer questions over the next few years. And today, the River Pools and Spas website is the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world. It saved the company. The content marketing strategy that Marcus implemented is a very profitable strategy. The website today gets about 600,000 visitors a month. As a result of this strategy, River Pools not only avoided bankruptcy, but is now highly successful and expanding its operations throughout the USA. Let's listen to Marcus tell the story about the importance of content marketing as an education and marketing strategy.
I was a struggling pool guy. I own a swimming pool company, and we were on the brink of disaster back in 2008 when the economy collapsed and the real estate market collapsed. And I said to myself, as I read all this stuff about the internet and all this social media stuff and all this content marketing stuff, basically what I heard was, Marcus, if you are a great teacher and if you're willing to listen to the questions that your customers have, you're going to be successful. You just got to put it out there for the world. That's what we did at River Pools. And that River Pools story is a story that's been spread around the world now, because today, River Pools, actually this past month, River Pools got over 300,000 visitors to the website. And the way that it happened was that we simply started to answer questions that we received every single day. Our philosophy became, they ask, we answer, and we answered each question one by one on our website. That's a really simple story, but that story changed my life. It saved my business, and it's a message that I've applied now to other businesses just like yours all over the world. Because here's the deal. Some of you are asking right now, what is content marketing? What is blogging? What is all this stuff? Well, I'm going to tell you that despite all the technical words that you hear, ultimately, what this comes down to is, can you listen better than anyone else in your industry or niche? Can you hear their questions the way that they're saying them, your customers and prospects? Can you empathize with them? Can you really truly understand what they're feeling? So listening's number one. Number two, can you communicate in a way that they get you, that they understand you, that they say that person is just like me. He understands my problems and he speaks on my level, not on his level, but on my level. And then number three, do you see yourself as a teacher, truly as a teacher? In other words, do you embrace the idea that your prospects and customers have questions? and that you really want to answer them. Because if you do embrace that idea and you see yourself as a teacher, everything can change for you, because the moment we stop being pool guys at river pools and said, we're going to be the best teachers in the world when it comes to fiberglass swimming pools, everything changed. And then the final point of really what this whole Content Marketing Academy is about, when you strip away all the fancy words that we all use, is how helpful can you be at solving the problems of your customers? Great listening, great communication, great teaching, and being more helpful than anybody else in your realm. That is the essence of content marketing.
So in a nutshell, that was Marcus' story. He started the sales line to share what he learned from the River Pools experience and to help other businesses apply his philosophy of they ask, we answer. He's written a book with the same title and now travels the world speaking and training. His passion is helping others to reach their potential as teachers, as communicators, and as speakers. So what makes Marcus Sheridan successful? What drives him? What can we learn from his success, from his approach? Let's begin by examining some values and beliefs that I attribute to Marcus. What do we know about his vision as articulated for him and his business? What stands out for me in all that Marcus does is his obsession with gaining a deep understanding of his customers, so deep that he knows what they are thinking and what they are feeling. He really cares deeply about his customers. He's also committed to be a world-class communicator, a world-class teacher, and providing all the information and content that he does in a way that is understood by his audience and clients. He's on a mission to help others develop these skills and apply them in their business. Let's listen again to Marcus tell the story of how he discovered the art of the question, which is so core to his philosophy of world-class communication.
I have come to find that one of the greatest tools in the world, far and away, in terms of your ability to get results, to make sales, to earn friendships, to change people's lives, is to know how to ask the right question in the right moment. I call it the art of the question. Now, those that have ever been with me in any trainings, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I want to tell you a story that changed my life. It started when I was 20 years old, and I was in Chile. Yes, the country, Chile. Not in like the food. I was in the country. So I was at the bottom of the world in South America. I was a missionary for my church. And the first day I got to Chile, the person that I was staying with said something to me. She said, "You're pretty much the worst speaker we've ever heard here." Go Marcus. You're winning big. Okay. So the language was a big struggle because I'd never had any formal training in Spanish. But I had to teach these people. Well, as missionaries, what we did is basically we would teach people the gospel, right? And then many of them would, in this case, be baptized, right? That's how it works as a missionary. And please keep in mind, this is not a religious conversation what I'm getting ready to tell you. It has nothing to do with religion per se. Although I believe this, in many ways, is as spiritual as anything you could ever do, if you do it right. So, one day, I was about 3 months living in Chile, still struggling, so frustrated with the language. We had scheduled a baptism for a lady in this particular town. It was very exciting because she was going to invite everybody in the community. And so it was going to be a big event. All these people didn't know anything about what we were teaching. They just knew they were coming to support her. So this was a big opportunity for a couple of missionaries because wow, not only are we going to have this person and she is going to join the church, but all these other people are going to be there and it could be wonderful, right? And so when people get baptized, in this case, how it works is they get baptized in a font. Now, a font has about 3.5 feet of water in it, and it takes about 2 hours to fill up with warm water in Chile. That's how it works, right? And so we have the night arrives where we are going to have the baptismal ceremony. And literally, there's about this many people in the room. And everybody is excited. And we do the welcoming thing. We do the welcoming. And then we say to the people, we are going to go ahead and proceed with the baptism now. And I'm pumped. Now, I start to walk to the back room, just like you see in this room. It's very set up the same way. Do you see where those doors are in the back? I walked to the doors in the back, and that's where the font was. And so as I walked to those doors, I opened up the font room, and the font was empty. Somebody had pulled the plug. Somebody pulled the plug. Now, I was with a male missionary and 2 female missionaries. Okay? We're all about 20 years old. And we all, were just stuck looking at the empty font. And somebody says, what are we going to do? And then it was a moment that changed my whole life. The 2 sisters were standing here next to me, the 2 females, and my companion missionary was standing next to me. And as soon as somebody said, what are we going to do? I felt all of them look at me. And they were all Chilean. They spoke the stinking language. And they're asking the gringo to do something. So I said, okay, everybody back to the chapel. And I had everybody sit back down just like you're sitting right here. And I asked a question. And the moment I asked that question, somebody else in the room started answering it, and then somebody asked that person a question, and then I asked another question, which led to another comment, which led to another person asking a question, and then all of a sudden, we were having this incredible conversation around the room with all these people that I had never met before, talking about the things that this one lady had been learning. And in the midst of this entire conversation, all of a sudden, I see one of the missionaries in the back of the room waving, and he says, it's full. They had managed, with cold water this time, to fill it up in 60 minutes. An hour of time, gone. All because, in that moment, I learned the art of the question. Lady comes up to me afterwards, same lady. She said, I don't know who that was on stage, but you dominated the language tonight. And I realized it was because I wasn't talking. If you want to learn to have life-changing experiences with others and yourself, my challenge to you, is to learn to ask questions. In fact, this and that ability to communicate, all the studies have said the same thing. Right now, it has more impact on your ability to be financially at peace than any other skill set you have, is your ability to communicate at an elite level.
Well, that was a fascinating account of how Marcus discovered the art of the question and how to engage with an audience. But it also highlights another thing about Marcus, his ability as a storyteller. One of his other special skills is the ability to see in people what others cannot or choose not to see. Maybe even what those people themselves choose not to see. In our podcast interview on episode 44 of the InnovaBuzz podcast, Marcus emphasized that the goal of content marketing isn't to show the world that you're really smart. The goal is engaging communication with your audience and thereby educating them. Teach better, listen better, and then you get the reward. In his book, They Ask You Answer, Marcus says, "As soon as I started at River Pools, I quickly realised I didn't know much about the industry. Simply knowing how to swim wasn't going to help me sell hot tubs, pool chemicals and the like. So I did what I always do. I learned, I read, I studied, and I dug deeply into the industry." Clearly, learning is a core value for Marcus, and also taking action before knowing everything is part of the way he operates. There are many people advising listen to the customer. What sets Marcus apart is the depth with which he listens, how he seeks to understand, to see what the customer sees, to hear what they hear, to feel what they feel. There's a very powerful demonstration of Marcus applying that principle in a workshop that he did a while ago, where he spoke to a business owner that worked with abused children, and I'd like to share that with you now.
Because she's got the makings of something strong, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, there's a couple of things here. You mentioned a phrase early on, which is what's called the first phrase that you asked.
Complex trauma.
Complex trauma. Now, most of us did not know what it was. Do you feel like right now you have a clear answer of what it is? No, you don't have an answer yet. And the reason why they don't have an answer is why?
Because I didn't explain it.
Right, because you didn't quite paint that picture. And so I see there's basically three things going on. We've got where you were. We've got this gift comes into your life, has a certain set of problems. You change your life to embrace not just the gift, but others who also have these things that hold them back from becoming their greatest person. But we're starting to form an arc there. But we need more, because we got to have the bridge, and the bridge isn't yet built between where you were and where this is. So if we want to understand complex trauma, maybe you could start off the talk explaining examples of what happens, what a child experiences that has that. Now just give me a couple examples. What does a child experience if they have that?
When he first came to us, he would just run from room to room, head up walls and screaming.
Now, that right there, when you hear her say that, what immediately comes to mind? Like, what are your thoughts?
That's emotional.
What's that?
That's emotional.
That's emotional, isn't it, Norman? That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. What's another one?
He has nightmares, he doesn't sleep.
Okay, what are the nightmares of? What are they like? Like, are they consistent? Are they all the time?
All the time.
All the time. And they're from what? What causes them?
Fear.
Fear of what? Where did this fear come from? Being hurt. Who hurt him?
Yes.
Who hurt him?
People.
People hurt him. And what were they doing to him that caused him that pain?
You're trying to take me somewhere.
No. I want to feel what you feel. When you say somebody has been abused, unfortunately, that doesn't register because it's a word that has been used so much in society. How many of us have had nightmares? All of us. How many of us have had nightmares that your son has had? Hopefully nobody in this room. Do you see the difference? This is the place you have to be willing to take us on so that I say, I will never allow that to happen. Whatever she is doing, I want to be a part of that. Does everything? It's heavy, and it should be. It should be. But you got something really special.
Wow, such a powerful demonstration of the principle of powerful communication. I want to feel what you feel. Such a compelling and powerful message. Now, if you'd like to have a look at the video of that, it's episode 26 of The Balance, and it's titled Principle of Powerful Communication. I encourage you to look at the video because the visual cues and the visual body language interaction between Marcus and the person being coached adds to the message here. It's really powerful. Marcus has said that he fundamentally believes that we all have a powerful teacher and a powerful communicator within each one of us. And for those persons willing to seek out this talent, the impact it can have on their life as well as on the lives of those that they come into contact with is tremendous. Of course, Marcus follows his own advice and publishes prolifically highly educational and valuable material ranging from blog posts to podcasts. He does host the Mad Marketing podcast, which I'd encourage you to check out. It's really great. And also lots of video, as well as his many live presentations and workshops that he runs. In his book, They Ask, We Answer, he gave what I believe is a very succinct statement of the structure of his approach to content marketing. And I quote, "Marcus, the thing that you did with your pool company is so simple. I just can't believe how simple it is." To which he answered, "Yes, it was simple, but simple is good. This way, anyone, including you, can apply what we did at river pools and spas to your business. You just have to truly care enough about the customer to obsessively listen, teach, solve problems, and be honest in the process." A very powerful message. Marcus is also a firm believer in getting stuff done, as he calls it. It's the principle of taking massive imperfect action and not waiting until things are just right. He's not afraid of making mistakes along the way and learning as you go. In fact, learning, growth, and challenge, I would suggest, are core values of Marcus. He's sharing his journey on The Balance, which is part of his transparency, and a preparedness to be vulnerable. So The Balance is a video series which you can find on YouTube, where Marcus shares his day-to-day activities, and he often talks about his family and that, which is hugely important to him, and how his success in business is allowing him to take time with and build deep and meaningful relationships with each member of his family, as well as with other people. He often points out that there really is no separation between business and personal, and to be successful in one, you have to succeed in both. Let's take a look at Marcus' behaviour and what he does that makes him successful. I've broken this down into the 5 success principles that I have spoken about before, particularly in episode 66 of the InnovaBuzz podcast. So the first success principle is to know your outcome. Initially, when Marcus started the triage at River Pools, when it was faced with bankruptcy, his desired outcome was to avoid that bankruptcy, save the business and turn it around. Now, his big picture outcome looks more like helping others reach their potential as teachers, as communicators, and as speakers, so they can communicate at an elite level and make a difference in the world. He points out often that people want to feel that you've understood them, that you understand them, and by understanding them, by engaging them, you will have a lasting impact. The second success principle is taking massive action. Marcus is certainly an action taker. In his series, The Balance, he seeks to visually tell the story of his day-to-day activities in a way to lead and with the stated aim of making mistakes so others can avoid them. He's a prolific publisher, a speaker, a passionate and engaging storyteller, as we heard before, and a teacher. He takes action on all these fronts, not to show how much he knows, but to educate his audience and to serve that audience. He's driven to serve. So he does take massive action, and he's happy that it may not be perfect action to start with, and he's also happy and in fact keen and driven to learn and adapt on the way. So the third principle is to calibrate your progress. So we did talk in our podcast interview on episode 44 about the return on investment of content marketing, about knowing your numbers, knowing what works and what doesn't. And Marcus is always aware of where things are not going according to plan or according to the desired outcome, and is making adaptations based on his learning. Now, the idea of answering people's questions may be quite simple. It's important, though, to really understand what is having an impact and how that impact translates into an outcome that you are looking for and determining what's working well and what needs improvement. Marcus repeatedly emphasizes across all his content the need to measure everything, particularly in They Ask, We Answer. He goes into that in great detail. The fourth success principle is behavioral flexibility. I've already mentioned that Marcus is always learning new things, and he's then applying that to adapt and change and improving what he does. So he's definitely a change agent. Changing what they were doing at River Pools had dramatic effects. He's not afraid of making those mistakes, as I said, and treats them all as feedback and as learning opportunities to shape and change and improve what he does. And the fifth success principle is the mindset of excellence. So Marcus, to me, has this in spades. He often mentions that being second is not an option. His language reflects his focus on excellence. You hear him talk about world-class communication, about operating at an elite level, about being a great communicator, about having a great communicator in all of us. To hear Marcus speak, to see him present, all inspires excellence in all who watch or listen. Of course, Marcus has an excellent team of people working with him both at the sales line and at River Pools, and he partners with some awesome people all around the world to help spread this message of elite communication, of teaching, of understanding your customer. He's also very generous in sharing his knowledge and is clearly operating with a mindset of abundance. So in wrapping up this episode of Model the Masters, What Would Marcus Sheridan Do? Here are 5 key tips from my analysis of Marcus. Number 1, develop a deep understanding of your customers. Really feel what they feel and then answer all their questions, even before they ask or think of them. Number 2, get stuff done. Take action. Learn as you go. Treat mistakes as feedback and evolve. Change according to the feedback you get. Number 3, in presentations, have a clear purpose for your audience and verbalize that purpose. Really know your audience, speak their language, and deliver on their purpose. Number 4, the ability to really understand others requires you to ask questions. By asking the right questions at the right moment, you'll come to a better and in fact build a deep understanding and engage with your audience. And number 5, be real, be vulnerable, and be in the moment. So vulnerable is something I have trouble pronouncing. Maybe there's a message in that. So be real, be vulnerable, and be in the moment. Doing this well will enable you to build a deep connection with your audience and a deeper understanding of them and their needs. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Model the Masters and learning from What Would Marcus Sheridan Do. The show notes for this episode will be at innovabiz.com.au/mm Marcus Sheridan. That is MMMARCUSSHERIDAN. That's for Model Master Marcus Sheridan. all lowercase, all one word, innovabiz.com.au/mm Marcus Sheridan. You'll also find contact information for getting in touch with Marcus and links to the various websites I mentioned there on that blog post. Now, we'd love to hear about your biggest takeaway from this episode and the action you'll take as a result in the comments section of the blog post. So go to the blog post and leave us some feedback. If you haven't already done so, head on over to iTunes or Stitcher or Pocket Casts and subscribe to the InnovaBuzz podcast so you'll never miss a future episode. If you're listening to this, then I'm sure you've already left a review for us there. If not, why not? Seriously though, we always welcome feedback and reviews, so please do let us know how we're doing. If there's anything you'd like us to cover or questions you want answered on a future InnovaBuzz podcast, or someone you'd like to nominate to be a future Model the Master's guest or feature master, then please send those ideas to us as well. Until next time, I'm Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBiz. Remember to be awesome and keep innovating.